Welcome to For the Record, a podcast by the Delaware State Senate Republican Caucus, hosted by Senator Brian Pettyjohn, Senator Eric Buxton, Chief of Staff Deanna Killen, and Communications Director Matt Revel. This is For the Record.
Pretty good. I get, well, at the top though, we're just now a few weeks left of this General Assembly until June 30th, right? We just got off of a 2-week break for Joint Finance Committee, where they met for 3 days, I believe, of that 2-week period. But regardless of the fact,
seven legislative days left.
Yes.
Not that we're counting, but 7.
Right. So we're nearing the end, and evidenced by the fact that we had 23 pieces of legislation on the agenda today.
Yes.
The House had even more. They had.
I think they're still in, aren't they? Yeah.
You want to think about
quite a
it.
bit.
The dynamics of, we started when, June 13th, something like that. You're averaging 3 days a week, except for February. We'll push through more bills over the next, what'd you say, 7 legislative days?
7 legislative,
Than we did in the prior, how many?
Well, you and I were talking about this the other day, and I actually ran the numbers.
Yeah.
We've had more bills in the first 3 days. Actually, we had more bills on the agenda today than we did the whole month of January.
That's scary.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And that's democracy.
Yeah.
That's process. That's what folks think of when they think of good governance. I kid, because it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But they weren't all bad bills.
No, we had 5 excellent bills.
Yes.
Absolutely.
5 of them were sponsored by
Our caucus.
our caucus here. 2 by Senator Buxton, 1 by Senator Pettyjohn, another by Senator Hocker, another by Senator Wilson. And I know, Deanna, that's what you want to start with.
Yep, I'll go through these. All of them passed, which is great. Did they all passed unanimously? Is that correct?
Yes.
I think they
Yes.
did. Wow.
Yeah.
One member was absent, but
Yeah.
Right.
and
Senator Wilson, I'm sure you've heard us talk about it. Senate Substitute 1 to Senate Bill 212. It is a constitutional amendment that protects hunting, fishing, and trapping. He's been trying to get this through for some time now. Finally got it through. We worked with the majority party to get this through.
A lot.
It's been a lot of work, but thankfully it passed unanimously today. We're really hoping we can get it through the House. We're kind of short on time, but we're pushing. We've already started making those contacts, and hopefully that'll get through.
And look, credit to, because we have to do it, credit to Senator Townsend, who we've been working with.
We do, and I think I owe him a compliment.
You do.
After the snarky text I sent him.
You do.
that
So
I
go
didn't
ahead
need.
and put the compliment out there so we can have it for the record.
Thank you. We do. He really was a big help.
Yeah.
I have to say that. So thank you. That's
was
as much as I can muster up.
it was an inadvertent snarky text.
It was. I thought I was texting you, and
Yeah.
it was him.
She sends me snarky texts a lot.
That's funny.
Yeah. So
That's
I apologize. I said I'm sorry. I thought you were Brian Pettyjohn.
That's hilarious.
He said that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. Yeah. All right. This one here is more of a housekeeping bill, but it still is pretty big deal. SB 329, which was yours, relating to elections. Do you want to say anything about that?
It just, so we had some archaic systems. The Board of Canvass is required to certify the elections, so folks might appreciate the fact that when you have an election, you have election results, but then there's an extra process, not just the Department of Elections, but the Board of Canvass. It has to certify. It's been around for a long time.
So what is the Board of Canvass?
Never been updated at all.
Who are they?
So these are these people that work, I guess, for a superior court, and you tell me who they are. All I know is their job is to receive the receipts of the election and pour through them and say, okay, this checks. And so, yes, Brian Pettyjohn is the winner based on the results. It was a system that probably made a lot of sense way back in the day when you had to do that clarification, right? But in today's world, we need to make sure that it's still there. It's that extra layer of security, but that it processes in modern time.
Yeah, right.
So
That's what it does. It modernizes it.
But in fairness, when you say the Board of Canvass or anyone else, who are they? They showed up in my lap because I tried to do a bill last year, and they showed up. They said, there's more to it than just the Department of Elections.
Right.
You've got the Board of Canvass here. That's us. And, our job, believe it or not, is to take the receipts from the voting machines, some of the ballot boxes you used to have back in the day, and we're supposed to collect and certify, which is important.
Yep.
Right?
And it's headed up by the president judge, or actually the resident judge of each county or wherever the president judge sits, the president judge sits as the head of the board of canvass. So, it is that is the part of elections that a lot of people don't realize that the judicial branch actually has a role to play in
checks and balances,
in
right?
the Delaware elections. Yeah. Yep.
All right. Senate Bill 53, which was sponsored by Senator Hocker. We actually worked with the governor's office on this bill. It codifies Delaware's Farm and Food Council's Farm to Community Program. And basically in the state here, it's going to be called the Delaware Farm to Community Program.
What bill number was that?
SB 53. It was actually put on consent agenda today. Okay. But this was funded at the federal level, but it was cut. So because of that, we're now going to fund it at the state level if funding is available. There's no fiscal note attached to it.
Yeah.
So that passed today as well.
Yep.
SB 332, Senator Pettyjohn, this is yours. That clarifies that special vanity license plates may be transferred from one owner to another.
Yeah. Interesting thing that's going on right now with vanity tags. There was a lawsuit a couple years ago that the state of Delaware lost. Somebody had a license plate that said, can I say it?
Not the word. You can say it, yeah.
F cancer.
Yeah.
So it said F cancer. And it was issued. And at some point,
was it just the letter, or did it say the actual word?
No, it was it was letter F.
Okay,
and then the letter F and then cancer.
Gotcha.
It was issued to this person, and subsequently DMV went through and saw it, and they're like, "Oh, we don't like that," so they recalled that tag. I guess the person that had that tag took them to court with the help of the ACLU and ended up in federal court, and federal court said, "Yeah, Delaware did not do the right thing in pulling that back." The criteria that Delaware has does not meet muster constitutionally to protect free speech, so they were required to reissue that tag to that person. They still have that from what I understand. But in the meantime, what DMV said, you know what? Because of this, we're not going to issue any new tags, and because we're not going to issue any new tags, the way their process works with vanity tags, they actually have to cancel the tag and then reissue it on another person. There's no clean transfer. It's just the way their systems work. What 332 just says if you're pushing it from one person to another, it's not a reissue. It is just a transfer to allow those tags that are already out there right now to still go to other people or be passed down, or family members, or even if somebody wants to take it to an auction and sell it, they can do that.
DMV actually pushed back a little bit.
They did push back on it. DMV, DelDOT, they pushed back on it. Originally, they said, well, we don't think that this falls in line with the decision and the agreement that was made between the parties. I actually contacted the ACLU. The attorney that actually filed the lawsuit and was the victorious party, and their comments were, no, this has nothing to do with the lawsuit.
Yeah.
We don't have a problem with it, and we don't see that it's going to require going back to the court to get approval. So, I kind of used that letter and handed it to everybody in committee yesterday. And
I think that's probably what pushed it over the edge to get it out.
Yeah. And then, our good attorneys downstairs in Division of Legislative Services, they kind of came back with the same conclusion that, it doesn't affect the lawsuit. And in fact, it could be a Fifth Amendment takings clause violation if DMV continues to do it. So,
So a lot of people are going to care about that. So So all the bills that we just mentioned are headed over to the House now. Lastly, this one, big deal, SB 219 relating to exclusion of military pensions. Currently, Delaware allows military retirees to exclude up to $12,500 of their military pensions from state income taxes. This is going to basically increase that gradually over the next 3 years. In 2027, the exemption will go to $15,000. 2028, the exemption increases to $20,000, and then we max out in 2029 at $25,000.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal. It's a compliment to the men and women who are living here in the state or who will live here in the state. There's an element that says you have to live here for a period of time before you can gain this exemption. But if you're currently living here, you then retire. It's an incentive to have you stay here, to keep your skill set here, to keep the skill set that your family brings to Delaware by providing a tax exemption on income to a certain level, $25,000 when it's fully implemented. It's important because surrounding states are currently doing this. And so if we see the value in keeping these folks here, and if you see the way it works, where keeping these folks here actually adds a return on investment that is substantially higher than the deficit that it may initially create.
Yeah, economic driver for sure.
It's a big timer. Sure.
Yep. So that was great. We had a really good day today. All those bills will be headed over to the House. Hopefully we can get them in committee next week and get them passed through the House so they become law. They're all on our must list, which for those that don't know, a must list is what we put together, that basically the bills that are our priorities to pass before June 30th. So that's everything from the Senate portion, but I did want to mention a few things that's on the House agenda today. They're still in, so I don't know if all of these have passed yet, but one thing that did pass is House Substitute 2 to HB 111, sponsored by Democrat Sophie Phillips. Skip the Stuff Act. We talked about this before. So this did pass at long party lines. All Republicans voted no. All Democrats voted yes. But basically, if you go to any kind of fast food establishment, it says food establishment, so I don't know if it means a restaurant or not as well. But basically, they are not allowed to offer you utensils, napkins, straws, condiment packets, none of that. You have to ask for it. Specifically, you have to ask for it. And if they offer it to you, the food establishment gets a warning the first time, and then after that, there are violations that you're actually fined. A maximum of $1,500 a year.
So is this for both, I don't know, in-person, takeout, drive-through, everything, too?
Yes, they are allowed to have like a, what do you call it, like a station set up where people can go get their own stuff.
Well, this is going to really mess people up
Yes.
when they're going through a drive-through and they don't put a straw or something like that in the
No,
bag.
it's pain
Right.
in the
I mean, and I think,
buttocks.
like, I was a little surprised that, especially even some of the, like, resort area legislators that voted for this. Like, they do realize that they have people coming here from other states visiting these food establishments, and this isn't the law of the land in the states they're coming from.
No.
So some of the businesses stated that this is a problem because what's going to happen is these out-of-staters are going to come through here. They're not going to know what's the law, so therefore they're not going to ask. We can't offer, and we're going to get bad Google reviews because of it.
Yep, absolutely.
So it's interesting. Is a local restaurant of mine they post on their wall, basically, they said, because of a law passed by the state, you must now ask for it. It was straws.
The straws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. Because of a law passed
Yeah.
by it, please ask us for
Yeah.
these straws.
So I was just thinking too. This also, you say condiment packets as well.
Yeah.
So I can just imagine someone ordering a salad, and they get back to their wherever they're staying or to their home.
No
and
dressing.
No dressing.
Yeah, it's,
Well, I
No
mean,
fork,
usually
no-
they ask you what kind of dressing you want for a salad.
are you allowed to do it now?
I
Olive Garden?
Not Olive Garden.
Oh, well.
Well,
Yeah. I
I
mean,
like the
even,
dressing.
But I mean, even if they ask for it, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, that's weird.
and what about the
Because
little...
actually that raises a pretty good point. What if you're at an establishment that asks what type of salad dressing? Does that constitute?
Are you
as
allowed to
condiment?
ask? if
Are
they
you
want
allowed to still
condiments?
ask?
I don't
I
know.
would think so, but
It says condiment packets, so it doesn't specify out if it's maybe salad dressing or I don't know. Maybe
Little
that's
mayonnaise,
exempt.
ketchup.
Well,
Yeah.
when it comes over to the House or over to the Senate for committee, we can ask those questions. But
You're
even
overcooking.
even the little stirrer straw that you use
You know
for
what?
coffee.
You know what the real problem is? That they really want to address it. Why don't they just look at the recycling bins, the one that I have in my house, and just follow one of those bins, follow the trash cycle, and see how much of it actually ends back up in the landfill.
I mean,
if you
when
want
they-
to cure
yeah.
that, figure out something there, right? Quit doing all this other stuff.
This isn't stopping people from getting stuff. Like when they outlawed all the plastic stuff, I just order from Amazon now and have it at my house. Mm-hmm. I'll probably get fined for that. That'll be the next bill. They're going to fine me for having that at home.
Ribbon cutting.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Celebrate me.
Yeah. So the next bill, I wouldn't really necessarily say it's controversial. I just thought it would be something that people might just want to know. HB 363 by actually Representative Barry, who's in Sussex County, relating to residential speed limits. It's going to lower the default speed limit on residential streets from 25 down to 20. Now, it doesn't just automatically lower all of it. I believe that the communities have to request it, and then they can, they would be lowered. So that could be happening in your neighborhood.
So when you think residential, you thinking possibly interior to a neighborhood, or you could be thinking residential streets downtown Dover.
It
and
can
stuff
be,
like
yes,
that.
it can be, because that was one of the concerns that some people had was like, what if the state roads are lower to 20, but then the town decides they want to stay 25? That it's going to confuse people. So there were some questions about that, but it doesn't mandate anything. It lower the default down.
I'm going
to
to tell you
that.
something to think about, though. One of the biggest concerns that constituents share with me and I personally have is the challenge of dealing with speeding. And if you do drop it to 20, you then drop that threshold of what's acceptable.
Right.
Think about it. 25 means 35. Now 20 means 30. So you're still being able to do 30, but that's more palatable. So there's some merit to thinking about whether or not it's a good idea. I'm not jumping out and saying I'm opposed to something like that. I want to understand it better.
Yeah, right. And
Speeding's a problem.
Yeah, I agree. I drive Route 1 from Sussex County to Dover, and it's a problem. I do agree with that. And we'll talk about speed cameras in just a minute, but one more bill before we do that. And you can look this up if you want, Blake, because it's on the agenda today, HB 441 by Representative Romer. I found this very interesting, and I thought we need to mention this because I think people need to be aware. Apparently, there's something called crypto ATMs that are in some of your local stores.
There's one there at Redner's in Georgetown.
I don't deal in crypto, so I don't know. I don't ever use them. Do you go to Redner's?
No, but I noticed the machine that I walk by.
I go there when I'm counting my Bitcoins and handing them out.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
so I've got it like that.
This is basically going to outlaw them because apparently it's a really big deal right now with the elderly being kind of. Yes.
It is a big deal.
Yeah. So they're getting calls, emails, texts, whatever. And then they're going to the bank. They're taking out large amounts of money and they're going and depositing this money into these machines. So if you're, an older.
Scamming.
Right.
Okay,
so if you're an older person or, if you have parents, grandparents, make them aware of this kind of stuff. I hate that this kind of stuff happens, but. It's a big deal. I listened to Dan Gaffney's show the other day. They were talking about this. A couple people called in, and the one couple had lost $16,000, and there was another woman who lost $35,000.
Wow. Yeah, scary.
Yeah. So I don't know. Has it passed yet? HB 441.
It is out of committee on the ready list to the House.
Okay. So it's
By
not
the
on
way,
the
can
agenda
you
yet.
sing a few?
Go ahead. We'll wait for you. Go ahead. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now skipping over to bills that were in House committee yesterday.
Oh, boy.
And this is the speed cameras. So I know we have a little bit of a different, I think we all might have different views on this. I'm mixed, I'm going to admit. Right now, I guess there are some speed cameras. I think there's 4. From what I understand in committee, there's 4 total in the state right now. And this will basically make it so they can go anywhere, and eventually they can be used for all traffic violations as opposed to just speeding. So I guess if you're holding a cell phone, something like that. But Representative Osienski, he's the sponsor. He did mention that.
What's the bill number?
442, HB 442.
Now, a little interesting thing about that, because I heard one of the folks on social media talking about it the other day about the bill. I think they were conflating these traffic cameras with flock cameras.
They were, yeah.
Flock cameras are completely separate from these. They don't use flock cameras for, the red light or the speeding.
What's a flock camera?
Ask Matt.
So,
No, go ahead.
Matt's a big fan of flock cameras.
Yes. So there are these cameras, and they're a lot of places. If you look for them, you'll find them. But it's usually just on a black pole with a solar panel and a camera sitting on it.
Big brother watching you.
And what
Who
it
owns
does,
it and what's it?
They're
Okay,
used
go
to
ahead.
assist law
Go ahead.
enforcement in catching criminals.
yes. So what they do as a vehicle passes, it takes a picture of the vehicle, license plate, everything like that, and uploads that to the cloud where it's analyzed and indexed. Things that it indexes, of course, the license plate, so it can be searched.
Here in Delaware.
And here in Delaware,
That's legal?
It is.
I thought it wasn't. Okay, go
It
ahead.
is. It indexes those vehicles. So vehicle color, vehicle type, license plate number, any damages, any kind of unique features to it, so that if law enforcement goes through and so look, there was just a crime committed. It was on the vehicle was a white Camaro with Delaware tags, and it had a 5 at the beginning. Well, they can go through, they can put that into the flock system with a case number. I found this out the other day talking to the Georgetown police chief. They just can't go in there and just do a search. They actually have to have a case that they're working on. They actually have to put that information in there.
So Georgetown PD, they're supportive of flock cameras?
They have them.
Okay.
Yeah, Georgetown has flock cameras.
Okay.
Again, you probably never saw them.
I'm oblivious to, yeah.
Well, you're a law-abiding citizen, so you don't have to worry
That
about
is true. That is
So
true.
they put that information in, and then Flock will pull up those matching results. So they can look at the first vehicle and say, this probably isn't it, and they can go down and say, oh, maybe this is the person. But it's a law enforcement tool. It takes those pictures. It's that whole, when you're in public, you don't necessarily have that expectation of privacy.
They're reading your
So
text
they're-
messages. If you got your phone open, walking down the road, they're reading your text messages.
So that's
If
what
they're
flock,
that good, then
yeah,
let's
that's
go
what
for
the
this
flock
podcast.
cameras are and what they're used for right now.
Yeah, so that's something different. Like I say, these cameras here, they do not, I guess, pick up a speeding violation unless it's 11 miles per hour over the speed limit or more. That's when it picks it up. Now, one of the things that I did want to mention that Representative Romer mentioned in committee, that apparently they saying it's a safety, public safety thing, but I guess when they sent out some of the paperwork or information about the bill, they started saying that there is, I guess this brings in a lot of money. It's a revenue generator. And she had concerns with that, rightfully so, because it's one thing to do it for public safety. It's another if it's going to be a revenue generator, because if it's a revenue generator, there's incentive to stop as many people as possible.
So,
yeah.
So here's a little tidbit that isn't covered anywhere. There's epilogue language right now in bond bill for a specific speed camera that will allow them to ticket vehicles 6 miles an hour or more instead of 11.
What?
Yes.
Even I drive 6 miles
Now
an
you
hour.
grab
I know. So it was section 137 of the bond bill, McKenna Church Road and Milltown Road. Yeah, they have that set for 6 miles an hour.
That's interesting. Well, this bill says 11 miles per hour
Yes,
and over.
but they did that in epilogue language because
Okay.
the code says 11.
So which would it be?
Well, this one camera is set for 6.
See, and that confuses people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So one of the things that stood out to me was Alan Davis, Chief Magistrate of JP Court. He spoke in committee, and this is his words, not mine, that this bill is an existential threat to the court. He said that the pilot program right now, it's not even been it's been in effect for about a year. He said, and the court is already scheduling half a year out for appeals.
Wow.
Yeah. So he said that, and that's with only 4 cameras active in the state. He said, so with cameras everywhere and all the appeals process, he's thinking this is something that the court's not going to be able to handle.
Right.
So that's something we need to
think
think
about. And the JP
about.
courts are already they're busy as it is right now.
So the idea is, what is causing that? Is it the obvious ability and necessity to be able to appeal? And because of that, is that typical in traditional tickets? Do you have the same
Probably
same
not,
amount
because
of appeal process?
I
And
don't
is
know.
it just because they don't trust the camera? The point I'm making, if you look at it, first identify what? It's undeniable that cameras will assist in investigations and catching criminals, whether it's speeding, whether it's something more significant. That's undeniable. But at what cost? That's the question. That's the problem. So what's the big deal? Well, it's at what cost? When does the big eye in the sky take advantage of other things? So there is a merit to say I don't trust it. It's undeniable to say there's merit in having it, but how do you manage it? At what cost? At what cost does your liberties get intruded on? And so I don't know.
Yeah, I can understand the appeals process because I know for me, I don't know about you guys, but when I've been riding through town before, and you know how they have those little speed things up that tells you the speed you're going, it doesn't always match the speedometer on my truck.
No.
So,
But they work. I mean, you get through the speed zones now, and you've seen dramatic changes.
I agree. I agree.
And speed's a real problem across this state.
I do
really
agree
it
with
is.
that.
And,
I do
and
agree.
the answer of more police doesn't work. It's cost prohibitive, and it temporarily stops it, and then results in a return to the behavior once the presence is gone. So, I'm not advocating for more cameras. I'm saying that there needs to be a conversation on how does it work and how do you manage it if you're going to have them.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'd like to know where people stand on this. Blake, Peyton, what do you think? Are you supportive of speed cameras or no? Okay, Peyton speed, so she's not.
Yep. Say
Blake-
that into the mic
yeah,
so
say
we
that
have
into
that
the
onto
mic.
the
No.
record, please. No.
Blake, how about you? Do you support
I
them?
think we all do.
I don't know. I think it kind of comes from, like, I don't know, people my age kind of fantasize about the way that life could have been when you could have been doing stupid things with your buddies. If now they're going to be surveilling you every second of every day.
Yeah.
I mean, you're taking away that aspect of kind of figuring things out with if you mess up when you're driving. You can't just call your grandfather and be like, hey, I'm in the ditch, what do I do? Instead, no, the police department has you on video, and it could result in something just for, like, the one time. I think a little bit of that is a little bit of, like, necessarily like it. I think it all
Yeah.
stems from the Patriot Act too. So it's just things that happened long before we existed
Mhm.
that just don't make sense to us anymore.
Yeah. We should do a poll on that.
I'll
I'd be
tell you
curious
what,
to hear where the public
you go to an
stands.
HOA meeting, places like that, they're going to be wildly in support of it. There'll
Okay.
be those that won't. You step outside that, there's going to be those that are going to speak specifically to government intrusions in our daily lives and spying.
I
And they're
support-
both right.
Yeah, I
They're both
support
right.
it, giving everyone else tickets, just not me.
Yeah.
So what's funny is in our neighborhood one time, we had people that speed, down that road.
I think
It's
I've sped through your
probably
development
have.
before.
Of course,
Until
you
they
don't
put
pay
those
attention to
speed
what's going
bumps
on
in.
anyway. But Georgetown Police Department did a camera out there just as they can't ticket, but they were just trying to get data. And they found something interesting, that most of the vehicles that were speeding are the ones that were in that development, that people that live there.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Any of them
Interesting.
had senator tags on their?
No, they did not.
No. Okay.
No. Because where it was on the pole right outside my house.
So you
So
couldn't
I actually
get
had
up-
to slow down anyway. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
All right, so that will be that'll be. I think it was voted out of committee. Blake, you can double check me on that. So yeah, so if that's voted out of committee, we should see it on the House agenda sometime next week, I imagine. SB 272, we've discussed several times, the project labor agreement bill that was also voted out of committee yesterday. Looks like it was pretty much, again, straight party vote. All the Democrats voted it out. The reason I'm bringing this up again is because we talked about how much this could add to the cost of projects, but we really didn't have a number. But Dr. Carson, he's a superintendent for Sussex Tech, correct?
Correct.
Okay, yeah. So he spoke and he said that if this bill was in place, because Sussex Tech right now is building a new high school, and I guess the contract or the construction manager ran some numbers, and they determined that if this bill were in place, that it would increase the cost of the current building by 22%. So he said that the new school is a little over $249 million. That's a 60-40 split, 60% to state, 40% taxpayer, basically. So basically, a project labor agreement would increase this particular project by $54 million, of which $21 million would be borne by the taxpayers.
Well,
So
all
if-
of it's borne by the taxpayers one way or another.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
whether it's
But I just
local or
want people
state.
to understand that these
talking real
bills,
money.
these bills are affecting you, the taxpayer.
Yeah.
And it's real money.
Yeah.
So this is kind of, and again, no one, they couldn't give us a reason for why we needed this bill.
No, we could.
Well, then the primary focus on the Senate floor was that we are here for workers and workers' rights and making sure there's a better. And you know what? There's an element of fairness in what they're saying, but at what cost again? Because here's what you're trying to cure. You're trying to assume right now that those folks working on that campus and the new school aren't already receiving what you're trying to help them fix. And so my point is, you're a cure looking for a problem that doesn't exist, And the issue I have is, and it was exposed on the floor, those folks currently working down there right now, according to the testimony presented, 90% of those actually live here, go to school here, pay taxes here, all that. With this changeover, what was presented on the floor and acknowledged by the sponsor was there's no union representation capable of filling adequately those jobs.
Right.
So what happens is you're going to invite union representation from outside the state to pass through a local union hall to work in a local project. Those folks, good people, they're not living in homes here. Their kids aren't going to schools here for the vast majority, and the bulk of those be the opposite. So again, you're looking to cure a problem that doesn't exist. The folks on those sites right now are making prevailing wage, good money, being treated well by their employers. They're not asking for this. The state's telling them this.
Yeah. Yeah, but people, like I say, people need to understand how much something like this, if you need a school in your district as a taxpayer, this bill alone is going to add that type of money to the project costs that you're going to be responsible for just to have unions working on the job.
What I did find it interesting, though, so there was some posts made on social media by various advocacy organizations, or in the case, I know you shared a post from the Black Chamber of Commerce, who was very vocal yesterday during the House committee hearing. And in their post, they noted that it failed to be released from committee by one vote. So I didn't go back and look. I don't know if you did. If they actually, because sometimes they do actual roll calls.
I don't know
So
if they,
I didn't know if they did it, and then the sponsor whipped up a vote afterwards and they just signed the back,
Yeah.
or exactly what happened?
I didn't watch the roll call, so I don't know who it was, but I did reach out to the chief clerk of the House and asked for the roll call. So
Yeah.
it was all Democrats: Osienski, Williams, Bolden, Lambert, Burns, Morrison, Ross Levin, and Phillips.
Okay.
So that's
Yeah.
the people who signed it out.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't know. It's a problem, and
You know the
unfortunately,
shame
it's
of-
going to pass. I'm sure it's going to pass the House.
You know the shame of it is, this is all leadership battle. You talk to the workers, the grinders, they get along fine. Whether
Yep.
you're merit, whether you're union, they're all good people. They're all working hard. They're willing to do their job. You know, this is just a, in my opinion, it's a power play.
Yeah.
And using a super majority to get things done. To show influence above the canal and how they can, because this impacts below the canal significantly.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Significantly.
Yes.
Well, in
This
the
is
case-
another example of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep. I was going to say, in the case of Sussex Tech, had this been in place when those bids went out, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll let you know when it's on the agenda in the House.
Too.
And lastly, I just wanted to bring up, I haven't done a lot of research on the bill yet, so I'm going to be pretty vague, but you've heard us talk before about the Homeless Bill of Rights, which was HB 135, sponsored by Democrat Sophie Phillips. That bill, for some reason, she's redone it. She didn't even do a substitute. She did a whole new bill, which is HB 454, and it was just released recently. And it does, I think what it does, it looks like it's a little more palatable. And I'm assuming that they did this because this might actually have the votes to pass. But it's more, I guess the definition of like public space is a little more restrictive. Before, I think you could go, someone could go to like a shopping center and set up whatever. And I think that this limits it more to like state government, public parks, things like that. But I need to do a little bit more research on it. But the fact that it was filed, I imagine they're going to try to push it through. But as of now, it's not even had a committee hearing yet. So.
Public space is still on. Yeah, means outdoor indoor area owned or controlled by a state or local governmental entity that is open to the general public without restriction as to the identity or purpose of those present, and includes streets, sidewalks, parks, plazas, parking lots, public transportation facilities.
So the parking
under
garage.
premises.
So our
Yep.
parking garage that we're about to construct. Okay.
And lands adjacent to roadways. Public space does not mean private real property, facility, or area that is restricted to specific or intended user, an area that requires a permit, license, or registration to access. Yeah.
So let me make sure you understand something, and this is important because it's connected to the Hope Center, of which they have not brought me into what my thoughts are. They have a completely different vision. So it's a low barrier type of facility, but here's what happens. If you don't want to accept the barriers that are low barriers, then you're going to walk past the Sheraton and you're going to go to the backside of Lowe's, between Lowe's and Delaware State University, and you're going to go to the encampment that the city of Dover took down last year because it grew out of control. And it was a safe haven for drug use for folks that are sick on the streets. This now puts that back in play. The same thing will happen at the overpass right there as you leave here and head south trying to get to Route 1. There's an overpass right next to a development that I represent where there was another large-scale encampment place where the folks were living and staying and actively using in those things. This now becomes legal.
And I'm assuming when it says life-sustaining activities that they can do that, does that mean they can start a fire when it's cold?
Possibly.
Everything you say. And the important thing about it is that they wouldn't have this if they would use the model we're trying to say, which is
Right. You wanted a model that.
I want a
had
model
some
that
rules.
seeks. So when those folks get it, when those folks are in an active acute emergency situation where essentially they end up in an emergency room at a hospital, at that moment we stabilize the individual and we immediately present the services at a or a detox, like a behavioral health, where they have openings right now. They stayed there for 30 days. They then transition to a Hope-like center. That's what you do. Now, the important thing about that is now they're stable. Now they're on a journey, a path, right? If they choose to vacate that by choice and they get picked up again, needing to be Narcaned, now the state opens up the Morris Correctional Facility, uses the court system that we already have and the laws available to sentence them to rehab. There's no more options. We're not doing this anymore. That's what I want. What this does is this normalizes the encampments. This normalizes drug paraphernalia. Remember 49. It creates opportunity for these folks to live as they choose to live, right? In communities where communities don't want it, where families don't want it, of the loved ones that are, behind that. Again, we keep saying this over and over again, but people need to understand the position we have versus what the state's trying to push.
Right.
There's this one of empathy, meaning you're cold, I'll give you a blanket and leave you there. You're hungry, I'll bring you food and leave you there. You need quarters, we'll give you quarters, but we're going to let you live as you want to live, using the drugs you want to use and the out of control you want to live in, because that in my world is empathy, and I say that's not empathetic at all. Yeah. I say that is enabling. It harms the folks.
Yeah, and for those that didn't see it, they just put out that they're going to be using the old Dover Sheraton.
Yep.
I guess that's going to be the location for the Hope Center.
Yeah. So kind of back to the homeless issue here. So in front of your house, do you have like a ditch?
I do.
Is it real deep?
No.
So if somebody pulled their car like alongside your ditch, they could do that, right?
Yeah.
Well, a homeless person could encamp there in their vehicle.
Awesome.
Pretty much in your front yard.
Yeah.
As long as it's still within the state right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, so I know private property.
Yeah, because that would be the state right away. You're right.
That's the state right away. Yeah.
So,
it says public roadways and lands adjacent to.
So how about sidewalks in the case of, I believe, City of Milford, for example? The homeowner is responsible for maintaining
that's what
that portion
irritates
of their
me.
sidewalk.
That's just in
Is
Georgetown
that still
too.
okay?
Georgetown,
So is
Milton.
But that's not fair.
That's most towns.
So,
to me, then it should be theirs, in my opinion.
so is that considered public or is
Yes.
that private?
no,
It's public. It's public.
That's one thing, because me and my hairdresser talk about this all the time, because she gets irate with it. She's like, I don't own this sidewalk, but like literally she had to replace it recently and she didn't want to. And if you don't, they put a lien on your house.
Yep.
That's insane.
3 days ago, I was walking on my phone just out here. 3 individuals sitting on a bench out there on the Legislative Mall. And it was unique. So you had one that was older than I am, so old. You had one that was clearly using alcohol as their preferred drug. And you had one who had maintained his sobriety and was working. They were all homeless, right? There's 2 there that the state should already have a system to help. Why are they out here? Why is our system failing? One's there because he's still waiting to get his birth certificate, so his credentialing, right? But he's been waiting and waiting. We should have an expedited process or something temporary for him to qualify for help. And then you got one that's sick, right? They're all 3 homeless. That's the system failure that we have right now.
Yeah.
And creating encampments, if that.
Well, we've talked about that before. It's not about fixing the issue. It's about putting Band-Aids on it. It's not about actually fixing it. But that's all I have, unless you all have anything. Yeah. We've got so much to cover. I have to kind of really prioritize what I thought was important, but we'll have the next couple of weeks will be very crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, the big discussion coming up. We got to talk about is the budget. So
Yeah.
I'll be curious to hear you guys' thoughts.
Do you know
Well,
when we'll be
DFAC
seeing
is
that?
Monday. Final DFAC is Monday.
So they won't vote on the budget until after that. Is that correct?
Oh, correct. Yeah.
Traditionally, the numbers that are in now are kind of.
They're kind of locked in.
Yeah.
Usually any extra money goes usually
Yeah.
cash to either bond or grant and aid.
And also, just because people have asked me, tell me if I'm correct on this, 3% raise for state employees, 2% raise for retirees. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what it
Okay,
is.
I've had several retirees come up to me because they haven't got a raise in a long time.
1% on retirees.
No, it depends on your. So if you're an old retiree, then it's 2. That's a good point.
If you're an
young
old, what do you
retiree-
mean?
What do you
So
mean?
if you've been retired a long time,
Okay.
because I'm an old retiree.
Well, what do they consider a long time?
Yeah, I should know the number. I think it's after 5 years.
Okay.
Okay.
I
Because
think
I've
it's
had
after
several
5.
retirees ask me that, so I,
I think
thought
if
it'd be
you've
important.
retired in the last 5 years, you're still 1%er. And don't
Okay.
quote me on that. It might be 10.
Okay.
Okay.
But
All right.
so old means if you retired in the 70s or whatever, I don't know what the age could be, but whatever, you're going to get the 2% bump. But if I retired, I'm getting.
I have an
1.
uncle that retired like 15 years ago. He
I
was
think
asking.
he's going to be. I
Okay.
think he's going to be the 2. Pretty
Okay.
confident he's a 2.
And that's a raise on their pension, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So that's a good thing for people.
It is.
That's when people look at, the budget and the increases and what JFC did. Those were add-ons to the governor's proposal. But look, state employees, the vast majority are some of the lowest paid employees. When you compare to the private sector, I'm not saying it should be equal because we get great benefits.
Right.
But, in today's day and age with the COLAs and cost of living and all that,
Yeah.
it's kind of warranted. So, but there's other spending out there that needs to be discussed, and I'll be curious. I've been kind of in touch with how I want to go and how I want to vote on the budget. I'm not so convinced this year.
Okay.
On how I want to go and where I want to go. It's mainly because of my frustration with the chair's decision to finish up the markups in essentially 2 days. I was not happy with that.
Yeah. Maybe what we can do after we do our wrap up for all the bills, maybe when we're on break, we can do an episode just on the budget and kind of go through some of the numbers.
Idea. I mean, the budget is very complex.
Keep it exciting though. We don't want to put people to sleep, but kind of let people know where some of the money's going.
We just need some good sports scores to come through, and
Woo! Go Riders,
Senator Buxton's
baby!
going to be excited about it.
Go
They're
Riders!
playing
They
right now.
beat the evil
Oh,
empire
did they?
today.
Awesome.
They won.
They beat Sally's. Now my
Really?
son
Yes.
played.
Oh, that's why you yelled that to Ryan.
Yes, they won.
2 years
Okay.
ago, my son played at Frawley in the semifinals. He played for Caesar Rodney. They lost. No, it was the finals. So, anyway, he lost in the finals to Sally's 2 years ago. This year, he's no longer on the team. He graduated, but he was texting me. Caesar Rodney played Sally's in the semifinals, and they just won.
Nice. That's awesome.
So now it's going to be Caravel, because
Oh,
Caravel
yeah.
beat Sussex Central
Yeah.
yesterday.
Okay. Oh, okay. Did
Yeah,
they? Okay.
yeah.
So it is
Like 5 to
always that
1.
private public school dynamic.
Yeah.
It's
I
always
know,
there.
I know.
Well, since we're talking sports, I will not be here on the podcast next week because I have to leave a little early because my son is playing in the Blue Gold football game next week. So
Okay.
yeah,
Very
It's
good.
wonderful.
yes.
I mean, we
What a
might
great
get out early
experience.
next Thursday.
I hope so. If we get out early, I can do it. But Coach Townsend,
miss that.
he got I think like Coach of the Year
Yeah,
for
yeah,
football,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's the coach of the Blue Gold team. So
Nice.
I'm excited. Jake
Yeah.
had a really good 2 years in New River High School. So
Indian River is very well represented, it
Yes.
sounds like.
Yeah.
Class of 2007, Philip Townsend,
yeah.
myself.
Hey, there you
Yeah,
go.
well,
There
Yeah.
you go.
Whatever.
So you guys can carry on without me next week. One of you guys are going to have to put this together if I'm not here.
No, you put it together for us.
Oh, okay. I'll
Yeah,
have
you
to
just
do
put it
that.
together. You just kind of give us the
Yeah, we'll
script.
just
Peyton
make-
says you don't want that.
We'll make Blake do it.
We
or
can zoom
something.
in.
Yeah, I can zoom in. There you
Yeah,
go.
there you go.
From the field. All right.
Well, if we're not finished, I'm getting text updates from my bride who's sitting in the parking lot with an IPA ready to go.
There you go. Well, let's go.
We're
We
going
don't
to
want to keep
dinner.
her waiting.
She's driving. I said, well, then bring me a cold one.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, we don't want to keep Eric waiting, so let's head out.
Yep. See you next
All right.
week.
See you next week.
For the Record is recorded and produced by the Delaware State Senate Republican Caucus. You can find us with the DE Senate GOP handle on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Threads. Discover more about our caucus on our website, senategop.delaware.gov.